Electric Cafe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. In this video, I'll be reviewing the new John Mao album called Later Than You Think. This just came out last week. I think it was like the 23rd of September it came out, and then I just got the CD in the mail. Really excited to check it out with you here on the video. For the first time, I'll be playing every track from the album, and you'll see my score above each track in the video, and then I'll get back with you at the end and give you my final thoughts on my final score of the new John Mao album. Really excited to hear this, and just to kind of go over a little bit of my history with him and how I found his music. I was playing his music, or I was playing a Pandora channel back in 2007, and I heard a track off of his most recent album at the time, Love Is Real, and I was really taken back by his charisma as a performer, and then especially when I saw videos of him performing, and his take on synth pop, just very catchy, very creative. There was almost like a little bit of a punk edge on his, almost like a DIY kind of edge to his synth pop, and a lot of analog machines. It sounded like it's like some of them, this was a couple years before the sort of resurgence in modulars and older synthesizers and stuff like that. 2007, and even probably back to when he came out in 1989. Those first few albums, 2001, 2003, 2005, like his earlier stuff, he was one of the first that I heard that was really kind of harking back to the older equipment, older sounds, and really injecting that into his what I felt was a new style of like mixing punk and synth pop, and just very creative. And then also there was an electronic feel about his albums, and then also him as a singer and things like that. If you've ever seen videos of him performing or concerts of him performing, a lot of charisma, and I've seen a lot of interviews with him over the years, and just seems a very nice person and really caring about humans and their stress levels, and caring about each other and just the world in general and human rights and things like that. He seems like a very intelligent, very down to earth person who seems to care a lot about a lot of other people just in general, and how the world is. So he has a lot of sarcasm in his songwriting, but also a lot of honesty and a lot of tell it like it is from his opinion, and just things the world could get better, and just kind of sarcasm. Just very creative, very interesting. So just from his talent as a songwriter, as a producer, him performing, his interviews, his artwork, everything about him is just really top notch. And he's been one of my favorite producers since I found him roughly 18 years ago now. It just continues to really wow me on so many levels. And then so when this came out, I went back and got one of his older albums, which was he released his unreleased music. I think this came out 2005, I think it was. And then his amazing We Must Become the Pitless Censors of Ourself. This album was fantastic. Just took his production to another level, and just at that time, I was just after a couple albums and then reviewing his old albums, just such a fan of his work. And then 2017 and 18, he released two albums, Screen Memories and also Addendum, within a couple months of each other, actually. And these ones, to be honest with you, they disappointed me a little bit, but there's still a lot of great music on here, but not quite to the level of the last two albums. And then, 2024, he released a couple of rarities, which I didn't get a chance to check out. They were very limited supplies, and it just totally missed me. He released a box set back in a really kind of sad story. Back in 2018, he was releasing all of his albums on a vinyl box set. I think it was like 8 albums, and I thought I purchased it and kind of forgot about it because I buy so much music. And then it came out and I never got it, and I was like, what? How come I never got that John Mao? And apparently my credit card didn't go through, or my checking card, whichever one I used, and I missed out on that. And I think it was like $170 when it came out, and now it's hard to buy a copy for like under like $400, $500. It's just ridiculous. Prices sometimes just go crazy. So I felt I missed out, and his popularity through those years, just has gotten to the point where he's just a beloved artist, and everybody who listens to him and finds his music just becomes a big fan. And sometimes for the novelty, sometimes for the music, sometimes for this or that. But I think when you listen to his music and you start listening to all of it, you just get the overall appeal of his music, and he's just such a unique artist. One of the most unique artists I've found in the last 20 years, and just again, fantastic artist in a lot of different respects. So to say that I was anticipating his next album is an understatement. 7 years since the last one that I purchased, and just really excited to review this album. Just on a side note, I really dislike these envelopes that they're shipping CDs in. I thought this was one of the, and it still has a little bit in it, kind of like the paper mache in it that just goes everywhere. It's kind of like a padding, like a paper mache padding. You can't know if you can see it, but there's almost like stuff coming out of it. And so I had my scissors out, because last week I also bought a similar kind of pack, and it was for the Nation of Language album I reviewed, and I accidentally cut off the cover of the album. And so obviously I won't do that again, and now I know that these ones don't have as much paper mache in the inside, but unfortunately I cut this, and then even more unfortunately I just nicked the CD to where I don't think it's going to play, and I don't know if you can see it right there, but I just nicked it to the point where I don't think it's going to be able to get played, so bummer on that. I might try to play it on my less expensive CD player and just see if it takes it, but definitely not going to put this in my nice CD players. Or plus I got the files online, so on my computer, so not too worried about it. But just kind of bummer for me. I cut the CD and probably pretty much ruined it. $12 down the drain plus shipping. Well, So lesson learned on these type packages, but not a big fan of these packages. But at least now I know that they're not as bad as the original ones that have a ton of padding in here. But definitely don't like these ones. These can't be very eco-friendly with all this paper mache and just extra material in here. Just not ideal. But I don't know if this is better than plastic. Who knows? As far as like bubble wrap or something. But I'd rather have a piece of bubble wrap, to be honest with you. All right, so I'm really excited to check out the new John Mao album with you here on this video, and you'll see my scores above. And so let's check out the first track.
where the darkness ends and the pain begins. Begin the part to reconstruct your life. Tear it apart so you can reconstruct your life. When they tear it apart, you can reconstruct your life. you to the water. Water, I'ma get you to the water. I'ma get you to the water. To the water, I'ma get you to the water. To the field, washing of the field. To the water, I'ma get you to the water. I'ma get you to the water, I'ma get you to the east. I'ma get you to the heat. I'ma get you to the tube.
right, so there we got a chance to listen to Later Than You Think by John Mao, his latest album. And, I'm really impressed by this album. It's kind of a return to form. It sounds like when I first heard his music, there's a lot of really good songs on here. It's the album is so ironic, and John Mao is so ironic. It's crazy, and it kind of brings me back to the first time I heard his music. Like, it was so like angelic and beautiful and raw at the same time. And then he's singing about like just something that you wouldn't really think he's singing about because it's so beautiful. Like, I think it's like track number 8, "Let the Time Fly." Like, it's so beautiful, and then he's talking about. He says, "Let the time fly till you're lifeless and die." It's just like he puts a smile on my face. Like, he's so clever and so ironic and so different than any artist that I've ever heard. And it's a lot of times it just brings a smile to my face. Like, if I did a top 20 John Mao tracks all time, I think a couple of these would squeeze into the top 20, but I don't think any of these tracks would get into the top 10 for me. There's such a upper echelon of John Mao tracks, like Street Life and um, uh, against the it was Against the Country, or Home Against the Country, or um, Love Is Real. There's so many. Hey Moon is a really good one. Touchdown. Um, uh, Rock the Bone. Bennington. I mean, there's so many good ones that he has. Like, it'd be really hard for any of these to crack the top 10, but I can see a couple of these kind of squeeze into the top 20. It's funny. He's so ironic and so clever, and this album kind of harkens back to when I first heard him, and it kind of reminded me of what my first appeal was. And you kind of heard this like shimmering, like almost sounded like he was in a church because of the effects on his voice and his deep kind of baritone voice and the delays and echo, and it sounds like, again, like he's so angelic. It almost sounds like an angel or something like that. And it sounds like it's recorded in a church, and then you have like a raw drum beat over the top of it, and it's done like in a DIY kind of punk feel. Some of the beats are kind of like upbeat, like as if they were a punk track. I'd be curious to ask like somebody who's really into punk, just to kind of analyze some of the drum beats and think that they could fit into like a punk track. Like, is it? I don't know if I'm not a huge punk fan, but I don't. It's almost verging on like a punk rhythm sometimes, like in the drums and just the beat. And so you have this like punk with this kind of beautiful church like choir feel, and all these songs kind of feel like hymns. And certainly like with the lyrics, there's a lot of talk about death and angels and God and Satan in here, and confusion. And of course, the lead single is called "I Hate Antichrist," and the track "Out of Time." We're not doing it for love. Our life is on the line. We're running out of time. So he's not. He's just. I guess he's telling the girl he's sleeping with, or I mean, whoever he's sleeping with. He's not doing it for love. He's just doing it because our life is on the line. So you would think that there would be reproduction in there if he's not doing it for love. He's doing it for other reasons. I don't know if that's reproduction or what, but he's just like, hey, we're running out of time. Like, let's do it. It's just so clever. It's so funny at the same time. My favorite 3 tracks is the first one I just mentioned there, "Running Out of Time," or "Out of Time." Just the church organ sounds so great, and the bass line is killer. And just like the first track on the album, "Because We Built It," John Mao always has this strong kind of bass line that leads out on songs, and you just know what you're in for when you hear that killer bass line. And "Out of Time" and his deep baritone in there, and it ends with a little bit more spacey keys. That was my favorite track. I gave that one 9 out of 10 stars. Fantastic track. Love that track. It's kind of gives me memories of some of the best work he's done. And then tied for my second favorite was "Pick It Up." That one's kind of like the ballad of the album, and I'm glad that was track 14. It was kind of getting to the end, and I was hoping there would be a kind of a ballad that would be a little bit more sweeping and a little bit longer than the 1 to 2 minute, 3 minute tracks. And this one was kind of closer to 4. And nice, beautiful track there. I give that one 8 stars. Also, "Shout" was tied for my second favorite with with Shout. I just put more smoothness. It's just love the fluttering keyboard sounds in the bridge. I just wish it went on longer. And then there's a lot of tracks in the seven. I think I have like two, three, four, five, six, seven songs in the sevens that I think are very good, including "Let Me Through," which is so pretty. And then he's talking about koalas put a jinx on you. Like, what is he talking about? Um, I think there's a losing your mind talk. He's talking about DMT and don't get too crazy and you can lose your mind again. Just there's a song number 10 talks about immigration. One of my other favorites is Because We Built It. His dark voice on there with the beautiful melodies and stays in the sweet spot. It almost gets to that upper echelon where I was like, oh, he's really gonna nail it on this one, and it just kind of just smooths out and just kind of stays there. But it was really close to being like a track that went into like the eights and nines for me. I really like track number 7. It's called Theotokos. I love the processing on his voice. Never heard him really extend his vocals like this. He's talking so softly and really drawing out the lyrics. It's just very creative and it just kind of. I've never heard a track where he kind of extends his lyrics like that. It was just fantastic. I love that part. Unfortunately, it doesn't get to the level again. There's quite a few tracks on here that I was just kind of, when a song is like a minute and a half, I mean, Out of Time was very short. It was my favorite song. So I'm not saying he can't do it, but there's a few tracks where I wish he kind of there was a different bridge or it kind of broke up the minute and a half to 2 minute songs and then would kind of come back to that track and just kind of accentuate it and take it to another level. Like one of my favorite tracks of all time is Streetlight. And if you've ever heard Streetlight, he comes back on that last chorus and he just the echo on it just takes to this like crescendo level that is just magnificent and only does it one time in the album and on the song, and every time I play it I go back to that last part and it's just beautiful to take that ride again. There was really only 2 tracks that I didn't necessarily really think was good. I hate Antichrist. I gave that one a 4.5. I thought it was okay. Let the Time Fly. I thought that was pretty good at 5.5. Otherwise, everything's well over a 6, and most of them again are in the 7s. So, really good album. Kind of takes me back to his older albums. And even though there's 2 tracks on here, I think there's always. I think on every John Mayall album, there's probably like 1 or 2 tracks where they kind of sound a little bit similar to another track on there, and doesn't really do too much different and really doesn't separate itself from the others. So that's kind of normal for his album, I think, especially when you have 16 songs. Like I felt that way with Addendum and Memories. Those 2 albums from 2017 and 2018, there was almost like, because he released them pretty much the same time, there was almost like too much music, and so a few of them sounded similar, and there was a lot of tracks also. So when you have it, it kind of reminds me of like sometimes why I don't like punk music, because it's just 2 minute track, and you have like 22-minute tracks, and there's nothing really to explore or really to listen to again. It's catchy. That's why 2 minute tracks are like that. And sure enough, here, they become catchy after a minute and a half. But I to take it to another level, I think you want a little bit more, especially because on the ones you like, because you're like, oh, I really like this, and it ends. And so it's cool that they end like that and they stay compact like that. But you're also sometimes you wish you just had more and it kind of developed more. And some of these sounds and some of these, I almost wish like there was somebody that he worked with that was a producer that would really take his idea and sounds and really expand on them, like maybe like somebody who was in like prog rock or something like that, who was really good at like making a track more epic, like and just kind of like combine with this, or maybe like an ambient producer could work with John Mayall. I think that would be amazing. Amazing collaboration. Like him and another artist would just be mind blowing. I think, and especially if it was the right one of whatever style you're into. I think he could really kill it because he's a great vocalist and so unique, and I'm excited to hear new John Mao material. So even though I don't think this is like at the level of Love Is Real or the album Become Ourselves, I think it's quite in that territory. But it's a welcome, and I'm always I'm always excited to hear new John Mao's material. So I'm glad that this came out, and there's definitely some tracks in here that I will continue to go back to. And I think that's one of the things about the John Mao albums is it's really about the songs you go back to. I don't know if I always kind of go back and just play the whole album in a row. Like I always kind of go back to certain tracks, and then I play that track, and I play it like 6 times in a row of the ones I like, and so in a way, it becomes an album upon itself of the tracks that I like, and maybe you don't visit the other albums or play the albums in a row. I don't know if other John Mao fans are like that, but I sometimes I get like that. Like I don't know if I'll play this. I mean, maybe if I played it in my car, I would play it continuously. But a lot of times I'm gonna be skipping to songs I like and replaying songs that I like multiple times because I really really love the tracks that I really like, and then the ones that are okay or kind of sounds like other ones. So it's kind of a combination of that for me. But overall, 113 stars divided by 16 is a 70.6, and I gave the album a couple extra stars, like 2.5 stars, to get it to a 73 out of 100. I don't think necessarily the 2 tracks that I don't like take away from it when you have 16 tracks. I do feel like it's going to get a little bit better as I play it more often, and those individual tracks that I like, because there's so many in 7s, there might be a couple that squeeze into 8s, so I'm kind of padding that, just a couple extra points in there. And just again, the entirety of the album and the playability of it really kind of lends itself to where I felt like it needed a couple extra stars and kind of get into the closer to the mid 70s, but I can't quite put it at 75 or on the high 70s, just because of the song titles. I wish there was a couple more tracks that were in the 9s, like to really kind of put the stamp on this album. Like I feel like there's a lot of good tracks. I mean, I have 10 of the 16 over 7. So it's well, if 6 under and 10 over is a pretty good disparity, above that 70 line. So it'll only say a 71. That's why I kind of pushed it a little to 73 to kind of cement that 70, because I don't think it's on the low side of 70 as well. But I do feel like it could go a little bit higher, maybe in the mid 70s, but not much higher than what it is. It's pretty straightforward, for the most part, as you may have heard. I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are of the album. What are your favorite 3 tracks? And I'm definitely working on a top 20 John Mao track list with my favorite 20 songs. This kind of has me interested in doing that, so I think I'm going to jump off here and finish that top 20 and maybe do it in a week or two and kind of add that video and that sort of playlist to my channel, and maybe I'll review some of his other albums. Since I started the channel, he was in the back of my mind, like I need to review a John Mao album, and I had heard that he was coming out with this a couple months ago, and so I kind of been holding off till I could review this one for the first time on the channel, and then I'll go back to his other ones, which should be a really interesting score. I would imagine Love Is Real and the one that has Streetlights would probably definitely verge on the 80s for sure on those 2. I really like those albums a lot. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Later Than You Think by John Mao. Curious to know your thoughts again. Put in the notes section. If there's something that you'd like me to review, whether it be a song or an album, whether it be new or old, something electronic music related, you can always message me. My email's down below. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next video.